finished writing our Declaration of Independence, I call on the following people to read this promise to our people.
Within the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to develop a political bed which is connected and still with another, and to improve among the powers of the earth the separate and equal distinctions which the laws of nature have made God entitled them. A decent respect to the things of mankind requires that they should defend the causes which have problems for the separation.
Behold, it should be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the content of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness.
Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same objects, events, and design under the same absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government, and to provide new future guards for their security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies.
And such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government.
The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having indirect objects in establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states, to prove us that facts be submitted to a candid world.
He has refused to attend to law as the most wholesome and necessary for the public good.
He has forbidden his government to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended till his operation shall be obtained. When suspended, he has utterly neglected to dispense them.
He has refused to pass other laws for the commendation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrannical force.
He has called legislative bodies of places inertia uncomfortable, and distant from the capacity of the public courts, for the main purpose of attaining them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses rapidly, for opposing with manly firmness on his inventions on the rights of the people.
He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby legislative powers incapable of the narration have returned at large for their exercise.
Action.
The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states from, for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the condition of new appropriation of lands.
He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers.
He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and amount of payment of their souls.
He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to ask the people in need of subsistence. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. He has affected to render the military independence of and superior to the civil power.
He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our acts, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial and punishment for any of the murders which they commit on the inhabitants of these states.
For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent.
For depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas, and for pretended offenses.
For abolishing the free system of English law in the neighboring provinces,
establishing therein arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government.
For suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves to invest with power to legislate as in all cases whatsoever.
He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, and burnt our towns and destroyed the lives of our people.
He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, dissolution, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on high seas to bear arms against their country, to become executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands.
He's excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince's character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be a ruler of a free people.
Nor have we been wanting attentions from our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time by the legislature to extend unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of our circumstances and aggressions over here.
We have upheld their native justice and magnanimity. We have conjured them with the ties of the common conjured and disavowed these usurpations which will inevitably interrupt our connections and our correspondence.
They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity unity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war and peace friends.
We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved.
And that is free and independent states have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, and establish commerce.
And to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do.
And for the support of this declaration with the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.